If you're waiting for your manager to notice all the great things you've done this year, you might be waiting a really long time. Year-end reviews aren't just performance check-ins, they're visibility check-ins. And if you're not showing up with receipts, strategy, and confidence, you could be leaving money, respect, and future opportunities on the table. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to advocate for yourself without feeling or sounding like a jerk. You'll learn how to prepare, what to say, and how to handle pushback like a pro so you can walk into that meeting feeling powerful, not panicked. So stay tuned. I'm glad you're here, back to Workplace Therapy with Dr. Abby Metcalf. And this was something that was requested many, many times. So let's get to it. And what I have found over time is that a lot of high performers fumble the year-end review, not because they're underperforming, but because they're under advocating. So you're saying things to yourself like, oh, well, my work should speak for itself. But, the reality is your work can't speak, but you can. So I want to fix that. And today you're going to learn really how to share your accomplishments with confidence and build a case for your growth. So you can walk away really with pride and progress, not resentment or regret or any of that stuff. So let's talk first about why you struggle to speak up. If you're feeling maybe resistance around self-advocating, obviously you're not alone. And here's what might be going on sort of under the hood. The first thing I see is social conditioning, right? Research shows that people, especially women, are far more likely to fear being seen as braggy or difficult when advocating for themselves at work. And that leads to, of course, downplaying your achievements or using apologetic language, which I'm going to talk about. Another issue I see is imposter syndrome. That little inner voice whispering, you got lucky, is more common than you might think. There's studies that estimate that up to 70% of professionals experience imposter feelings at some point. And if this is an area that feels like a particular issue for you, you're definitely going to want to check out the episode I did on imposter syndrome and how to deal with it on my Relationships Made Easy podcast. And I will link to that, of course, under the video if you're watching me on YouTube or on the website when you click on this episode. Another issue is avoidance, conflict avoidance. If your review includes salary negotiations, or bonus negotiations or feedback you don't agree with, you might avoid advocating just to keep things smooth. But I have to tell you, people pleasing during these performance reviews, it costs you more than it saves. I am telling you the truth. So let's talk about how to push past these issues and do it right. I'm going to give you a few steps. Step one is you have to get specific with your wins. The first rule of self-advocacy is to come with the receipts. Don't just say, well, I really helped improve team efficiency. You need to be specific. I implemented, what did you implement? I don't know, like a new task management system that reduced project turnaround time by 22% or 24% or whatever. Quantifying your value is really powerful. And research shows that when you frame contributions with data and outcomes, it's going to increase what we call perceived competence. It's going to increase how people perceive your competence without increasing perceived arrogance. Okay, that's right from the research. As always, I will link to the research where I got all this information. And as you know, again, I know a lot of you know me from my Relationships Made Easy podcast, but again, my PhD is in organizational psychology. I have a master's in counseling psychology and all kinds of other things, but I've been working with organizations for years. Performance reviews have been one of my really special areas of competence, I would say, and really talking about them because I think they should be done differently. But I won't get started on that right now. But I have to tell you, I'm really up on the research on this. And so if you, again, frame your contributions with data and outcomes. It's going to increase that perceived competence, but not increase perceived arrogance. Okay. So I know it sounds that way, but it doesn't when you're specific like that. So your job during the year, obviously, is to write stuff down. Don't think you're going to remember it at the end of the year, because we both know that you're not going to remember it. Okay. And if I want to give you a real pro tip around, maybe I'll call these pro tips. I would say to use there's something called the STAR method, STAR, stands for situation, task, action, result. And I would use those to outline your top 3 to 5 accomplishments for the year. Think of it as, it's like telling a miniature success story instead of reciting a list. So for example, it might be, let me do this. So in Q2, that's the situation. Our team lost a key analyst and deadlines were slipping. That's the task, right? So we lost somebody on the team, or we had to fire somebody, or somebody left or whatever. And so the task was that we lost somebody and our deadlines were slipping. So I rebuilt the workflow and redistributed the responsibilities. That's the action you took. That's STAR, right? Which got us back on schedule and increased our client satisfaction score by 12%. That's the result. And kept us on schedule even though we had lost someone. You got to remember, that's significant. If you lost someone on your team, but you helped redistribute the work so that it didn't seem like you lost someone for that period of time, that is a win. And that is something that you should have quantified, not just absorbed. Like, excuse me, now we have less people. I think people are afraid to say things sometimes because they think, oh, now they'll never put someone in this position again. But you can work that into how you give the feedback. And so we did X, Y, and Z to make sure that our deadlines didn't slip. Although, of course, we really still need to fill this position, that kind of thing, because we can only do that for so long or whatever. But you should get credit for that, right? Okay. Step 2 is you need to align your work with company goals. So your boss doesn't just want to hear what you did. They want to hear why it mattered. I'm going to say that again. Your boss doesn't just want to hear what you did. Or maybe they do want to hear that, but they need to hear why it mattered. So you need to link whatever contributions you made to business outcomes. You've got to make that link. Again, this led to a 15% increase in client retention. My training module helped onboard 8 new hires 40% faster. Or you might have things like, my training module helped onboard 8 new hires and they all reported, they've all had less time they've had to talk to HR, or, because they didn't feel like they got enough training, or they all report higher job satisfaction than the previous 8 before we started this, or, find something that's better with what you did. So when you make the case that you're not just doing your job, but actively supporting the organization's mission or their bottom line, you're going to elevate your work from task to strategy. And that's really what you're trying to, do you see this? I know, but I'm telling you, taking the time to do this is going to, and it's also going to help you feel differently when you do ask for that raise. Or if you decide, hey, this place isn't serving me well enough and I want to put this on my resume. Remember, this is the stuff that should be on a resume also. So you're not just setting yourself up for getting a promotion at work or getting, having a better raise or whatever. You're also setting yourself up so that when you go try for a new job, you are so specific about, trust me, I look at resumes all the time. And when I see this stuff, I'm like, that's a person that we want to look at, because I know you've actually been paying attention, and I'm going to choose you over the 800 other resumes we have, because I can see that you understand the bigger picture of how you're contributing. Okay. So it's a win-win here. Step 3 is, I'm going to call it, what am I going to call it? Owning the room. Not dominating the room, owning the room. The key to not sounding like a jerk is confidence and curiosity, putting those two together, confidence and curiosity. So you want to use assertive language, not aggressive language, assertive language. So instead of, well, I think I did a good job this year, you have to say, something like, I'm really proud of what I accomplished this year, especially in, and then name the project, right? See how specific that is? And then you want to pivot to engaging the person. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on where I could grow even more next year, right? So good. Again, the research shows, and I always take these tips from the research, and that's why I use them when I work with organizations. But the research shows that this balance, it creates what we call psychological safety. It does, but that's what it creates, and that's what you want, and while still establishing your value. Okay, that's what's so important. All right, step 4 is you want to handle tough feedback like a grown-up. Okay. If your review isn't all sunshine and salary bumps, okay, if don't panic, don't pout. Instead, you want to listen without interrupting. This is huge. Listen like you're wrong. Then you want to validate before responding. You might say like, well, that's helpful feedback. I hadn't seen it that way, but that's helpful feedback. I'm really going to think about that. Ask questions. Can you give me an example of when that showed up, or what would improvement look like to you is one of my favorites. So what would improvement in this area look like to you? Because sometimes the thing they're giving you feedback on is very vague and you want to get clear. Sometimes you can kind of call out some aggressive feedback you're getting or some retaliatory feedback you might be getting by asking this question: what would improvement look like to you? And make sure they say, well, you'll just be friendlier. I'm going to have a hard time. I don't know how to quantify that. How are you going to quantify that I'm friendlier? Am I smiling more? Am I bringing in gift baskets for everybody? Like, what does that mean to you? I don't understand. I think I'm already friendly. I'm using this as an example, right? So whatever I'm doing is not what you want. So you're asking me to do something that clearly I don't know how to do. Or that I think I'm doing not the way you want. So clearly we have different definitions. That's how I would say that. Clearly we have different definitions around, again, friendly. I just had this not long ago with someone. That's why I'm bringing it up. And he got this feedback that he's supposed to be like friendlier. And I said to him, well, what did they want? He goes, I don't know. And I said, well, you need to go back and ask. Don't you feel like you're friendly at work? He goes, I think I am. I think I'm nice. I said, well, what does even friendlier mean? I don't understand. Are you supposed to flirt? Like, what is it? So again, make sure I hate when things are like, well, you just need to show up better, or how do I show up better? What does that look like to you? And again, be curious, not angry. This is not a passive aggressive question. This is a curious question. Really, really important. And you're not being weak when you do this. You're being really wise. And because when you look at the research shows that employees who respond to feedback with curiosity and action plans are seen as more promotable and emotionally intelligent. I'm going to say that again. Employees, this is from the research, who respond to feedback, even, very negative feedback, with curiosity and action plans are seen as more promotable and emotionally intelligent. I'm telling you right now, it's going to change the game. Okay. Step 5 is to ask for what you want clearly. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you ask for. I say this all the time. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you ask for, whether that's a promotion, a raise, more flexibility, more time off, working remotely. Bring a clear ask backed by evidence. And really avoid language like, well, I was hoping for, I was hoping for this. I was hoping, no hope. There's no hope. You want to say, hey, based on my contributions and these market benchmarks, I'm requesting a 7% salary increase. I'd like to be considered for a leadership opportunity in Q2. Okay, very specific. If you hear no, you need to ask, what would I need to demonstrate over the next few months to earn a yes for that? What would I need to do? And they might say, well, we never give 7% raises, or we never do that. Well, I understand you never have before, but what would it take then? Like, so what are you telling me? Or what are my other opportunities then? If you can't give it to me directly in salary, how else? Maybe there's stock options. Maybe there's more PTO. Maybe I don't know. You don't know until you ask. And sometimes just bringing this up lets management know that they're not doing enough around what the compensation is. So even that can start, because trust me, then your boss is going to go to their boss and go, we're going to lose, Jack if we can't figure this out, that kind of thing. And that kind of framing really puts you in the driver's seat of your career. Okay. And that's what we're looking for. So here's what to do right now before your review. I want you to block an hour on your calendar, and I want you to do a few things. One, I want you to write down your 5 biggest wins using the STAR format that I said. And again, you've got to start writing these down during the year and not pretend that you're going to remember at the end of the year. Even if you did a voice message in your phone and then you listen to the recordings later, I don't care how you do it, but you have to start keeping track of this stuff during the year. There's a lot more wins you have that you're not keeping track of. 2, I want you to identify the impact of each win on team goals or business goals. I want you to, again, connect it to the company. Then 3, this is important. I want you to practice saying them out loud with a confident, calm tone. Okay, I want you to role play with yourself a little, do it in the mirror, but you have to practice this. Number 4, then I want you to draft 1 or 2 clear asks for the coming year. Clear asks. Here's what you want, for the coming year. And then lastly, I want you to have 3 open-ended questions to ask the person who gives you reviews. I want you to have those at the ready. And again, bonus points if you rehearse with a mentor, your therapist, your dog, I don't care. Just get it out of your head and into your voice, because that's really going to help you, okay? And I have a great giveaway for today that I'm going to talk about in a second. But I want to say a little final thought, which is that self-advocacy isn't arrogance. It's accountability to yourself. You've done the work, you've earned the seat, and you deserve to speak from it with clarity, with confidence, and hey, maybe a little bossy Jewish mother energy, right? We love that, don't we? Okay. And the free giveaway I have for today is a year-end review prep kit. Okay, that's what it is. It's your year-end review prep kit. It's like 5 steps to advocate for yourself, without the cringe, I guess. I have the STAR template for accomplishments. I have a list of strong assertive phrases in there. I have a fill in the blank script for making a clear ask. There's 3 feedback frame examples. There's 5 open-ended questions to ask in your review. I did it all for you because I love you. Yes, it's all there. So you can download that again under the video if you're watching on YouTube. Like and subscribe if you are, please, or leave a comment. Let me know what else you'd like to hear, because we're at the end of this season. Or you can come to the website, abbymetcalf.com, and look for this episode, and it'll all be right there, along with all the links to the research and all that. And this is the end of season 1. And, I'm not 100% sure I'm doing season 2. I would love to hear from you if this has been helpful this season for you. I'd love to hear more about what you'd like to see if I did do a season 2 in Q1 of next year. So far, I've really enjoyed doing it. So I think I'm going to do some more, but I'd love to hear from you too. All right. That's it for today. Have a this should be dropping at the end of the 2025. So I'm excited to do work with you in 2026. All right. Take care.